She was with me through some of the worst times of my life during medical school, and I held her after her beloved grandmother died. We lived together for 2 years and were planning our life together when she decided I wasn't enough. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, My Fiancé Dumped Me a Month Before the Wedding, and Now I'm Done with Women. And guys, this is all about a guy. He sounds like he's relatively young in my opinion, mid-20s, just graduated medical school, so he's on his way to becoming a doctor, if he's not technically a doctor already. And he's with this girl for a number of years. They got engaged and all that. I thought everything was great. And 1 month before the wedding, boom, she breaks up with him. And wait till you see what her reasons are. It's not going to surprise you in the least, given the kind of environment we are today, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. And in my opinion, eventually life will come back to bite her in the butt. But this guy's pretty broken up about this whole thing. It's understandable. But the way I see it, this guy dodged a big one. And I will get more into that as time goes on. But it goes to show you guys that nowadays, you just never know. So it's always best for you guys, that are relationship guys, to take your time before you get very serious with a woman. Really, a lot of time in before you even consider getting very serious with, let alone something like getting engaged, which, let's be honest, you're out of your mind nowadays to do, but talk about that later. So it starts off, he says, I have nobody to talk about this, so here it is. I met my ex-fiancée right before I enrolled into medical school. I had aspirations to become a cardiologist or work in internal medicine. The path from bright-eyed high school student to doctor is grueling. Never-ending volunteering, studying, and other activities that have to do nothing with treating patients. So when I met my ex, P, I thought I hit the jackpot. Smack. It's a problem right there already. Hit the jackpot. How about she hit the jackpot? Getting with a guy who's going to be a doctor, who's a good guy, who's going to be loyal to her, all that. That's the problem with the mentality here. The guys think they hit the jackpot with a woman, and immediately she goes on the pedestal. And what happens to guys when they put the woman on the pedestal? They get treated like peasants. She had bright blue eyes and a pixie haircut, wanted a lot of children, and seemed to be totally into me. I remember when I pulled her aside after a date to the aquarium to tell her how much she meant to me, and she thought I was going to propose. Smack. Pulling her aside to tell her how much you feel, that's the bullshit you see in movies. You want it to be where she's trying to dig it out of you, how much you feel, because that way then she always has that challenge of trying to figure you out. But when a guy is an open book telling her all the time how he feels about her, how amazing she is and all that, that's nice in the movies, but in real life, what it does, it tells the girl, in some cases, I, the guy, am more into you than you are to me. Or now you know where you stand with me, and therefore she doesn't have to wonder as much. The reason women chase after bad boys, they always have to dig it out of them. Well, what does he feel about me? Does he like me? Does he care? Does he think about me? Nice guys pour out their feelings just like this and give them certainty. You want your girl to have uncertainty. That way she's always working to get your validation. That's what you want. But nice guys don't get this. They do what they show in TV and movies. She thought I was going to propose. I didn't, but remember her saying I'd be foolish not to marry you. She was with me through some of the worst times of my life during medical school, and I held her after her beloved grandmother died. We lived together for 2 years and were planning our life together when she decided I wasn't enough. You're about to be a doctor, or are a doctor, and you're not enough. I mean, you don't talk about stupid. I mean, most girls would kill for the opportunity. Got the doctor with status, the income, once his medical bills are paid, student loan bills are paid off, the profit after his expenses from his income. But okay. The day of the breakup is seared into my brain like a brand. I remember her coming up to me and saying, I'm not happy. It took about an hour, but I finally got some reasons out of her, and they were, listen to this. Number 1, you aren't tall enough. He says, I'm 5'8". Aren't tall enough? That's why you don't want to marry me, because I'm not tall enough? Number 2, you aren't in as good a shape anymore. He says, I gained about 15 pounds from stress during medical school. And number 3, my favorite, she wants to live in her 20s. Translation, I want to ride the carousel. I want to have as much fun in my 20s because that's what all the other girls are doing with Chad and Tyrone, the bad boys. And then when I'm ready, then I'll find some nice guy to settle down with. Because obviously with this guy, it wasn't enough. So he's not tall enough. Remember the old 6 feet tall thing? She wants to ride the carousel, and he's not as good shape. Now, nobody should let themselves go. Now, I know some doctors, and believe me, medical school was a bitch. And they too put on some weight, but they lost it. It's kind of like also lawyers that go to law school and they spend a lot of time on the grind studying. They put on some weight too, but they lose it. But aside from the losing some weight thing, this is absurd. But anyway, that surprised. My pride was hurt, but my heart was ripped in half. Add to this, it only took her a couple weeks of living in her 20s before she found a new boyfriend. He's shocked by this? I'm not. I bet you she had a boyfriend already ready to go when she broke up with him, that she was probably hooking up with, because they always have a spare. There's always, or spares. There's usually multiple dudes ready to go for her to have, because that's just how they operate. And these guys are always shocked when they're replaced that quickly. He says, I was replaced like an old phone within a month. I was so embarrassed to tell my friends and family that the wedding is off that after I sent a copy and paste text to all of them, I threw my phone away and didn't get a new one for a couple months. I'd like to know how a doctor is not going to get around without a phone. I mean, I know they have pagers, but still. Now I've heard all the generic breakup advice. Better now than after the marriage, more fish in the sea, this will be better in the long run, etc. But the pain I've felt since this incident is the worst in my life. I'll be doing fine for a week or two, and then she will appear in a dream, and boom, my week is ruined. I've woken up shaking with anger multiple times now. Well, the people are right. It's better it happened before he got married, absolutely, and amongst many other things. But he's not going to get over overnight because he was engaged to her. They were together for years. He thought everything was good or great, but he will get over it. Would I ever take her back? Never. I could never trust her again, but there comes the issue. Well, good. Don't ever take her back. And she'll be back, guaranteed. He says, I could never trust women again, and maybe that says more about me. I was so easily manipulated into thinking that she loved me right up to the moment I wasn't tall enough or jacked enough for her. How easy could it be for the next lying WHORE to use me like that? Too easy. Sure, not all women would hurt me like this, but I'm fundamentally a different man now. This guy's, he's become RP'd. Red-pilled. And it's sad that he had to go through this, but most guys have to go through something like this to have their eyes opened up. And I'll tell you one thing, when he eventually gets over her and cools off, which he will, and eventually starts dating and again, relationships, I guarantee you he's going to have a much more thorough screening process because now he's a doctor with status and income. And the type of gals that wouldn't give him the time of day when he's younger are going to be paying attention, will be lining up to get this dude. So he's going to be extra careful, and hopefully this thing will help him have a very good screening process in the future. He says, for a while, I coped with substances and a meaningless sex with women. I stopped all that for a couple months ago, and now I just go to the gym. I don't even know why I go anymore. I'm not perfecting my body to attract more women. I have no friends there, and I don't play any sports. Maybe it's the pain I'm going after. I don't know, and I'm too poor to pay a therapist to find out why. Well, good. It's good he should go to the gym, get himself into shape, lose that weight. By working out, he'll feel better. And yeah, do it for yourself. Don't do it just to impress chicks or whatever. And he says here, I know I'm poor. Well, I guess obviously he's still not making any real money yet, but he will. I only really feel pain or anger now. I can put on a smile and act affable to the patients that I'm seeing in training. I'm great with kids, and most people describe me as a charismatic individual, but I feel like it's an elaborate act. If I'm not in the clinic, I usually have a scowl on my face. I used to be 110% about everything in my life, but I frequently now tell myself I'm only 51% wanting to live. It will get better in time. It always does. It just takes time. I can't talk to my friends or family about this because my family, well, they don't live close and don't care about me. Shit, that sucks, but you know what? That's probably why he rushed in to get married early on, because he comes from a family there's not a whole lot of love. I only have 2 close friends, and I don't want to keep talking about this pain. My personality has changed, and I'm not romantic anymore. I don't enjoy the little things or attempt any new relationships. The only thing keeping me going is that maybe if I make an excellent doctor, I can make other people's lives better. My miserable effing existence. Thanks for letting me get this off my chest. Well, what I would say is this guy focus on his purpose, becoming the best doctor he can be. Because now he doesn't have a freaking fiance or wife that's going to be nagging him and competing for his time. He can focus all his time and energy to become the best doctor he can be, and he can help make people's lives better. But in time, he will heal and move forward. He'll gain this. It was a very hard lesson, but he said right here, I think I'll never be romantic again. Well, that's another smack, because romantic guys do all that crap. Again, what happens to them? Usually. Right? So he's learned a lot of hard lessons in this experience, things I wouldn't want anybody to go through, but sadly most guys have to go through it to really wake up and learn and see where they're going wrong. So, but in my opinion, he dodged a big one, and I'm willing to bet you the same girl, while she's out having fun in her 20s, will probably get pregnant. And who do you think she's going to come calling and crying to when she needs support and money? This guy. And this guy will no doubt kick her ass to the curb. At least I hope he does. But guarantee it's going to happen. So, going to read a few comments here because it's always fun. One guy says, there's a special kind of stupidity and vapidness I associate with people who talk about their 20s like it's the only time they can live. And by live, they always mean party, hook up, and act like children. Another guy says, my significant other's ex-wife is in her 40s and won't live on her own or have a relationship with her children because she needs to find herself. Those with this mentality in their 20s probably will never outgrow it. It's one thing if you're single with little no responsibility, live how you want. But if you choose to be committed and have a children or career, you can't have both. Well, a lot of gals nowadays, they want to live that carousel lifestyle, not just in their 20s, but well onto their 30s and 40s. I know women like this, they're in their 30s and 40s, and they look ridiculous. Okay, it's like, you're not that hot 20-something that's going to the clubs anymore. You're in your late 30s. Okay? You look desperate. Grow up. Another guy says, you're going through the grieving process right now. It's pretty much the same thing everyone else as someone dying. Soon you'll be able to move on. And she sounds like a piece of crap. I'm going through an awful divorce now after a decade-long marriage. It's super hard to trust after your trust has been broken. You may want to be alone for a while, and that's okay. Don't be embarrassed. She's the embarrassment. This is all super temporary, even though it feels like it isn't. I'm here if you want to talk. Wow, that was very nice of the guy. That's very accurate. It will get better. And the last one says here, they need to be lined up for the right interest, not his money. He seems like a good-hearted dude. If I were him, I'd lie by my profession to find a woman with great qualities who's interested in me, not my wallet. Well, there's an idea. Hide what he does for a living and see how many women are interested in them. Kind of do like Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. The first one. The second one was a piece of shit. I watched that for maybe 20% of the movie and turned it off. First movie in Coming to America, he hides the fact that he's a prince and going to be a king one day because he wanted to have a girl interested in him for who he was, and he pretended to be a goat herder. And eventually met that girl. Now, this is a movie, and I understand that very much, but you get my point. So he could probably maybe hide what he really does for a living and see, if the woman's interested in him. And then let it out one day, if this is what he wants to do, that, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a cardiologist. Just an idea. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me hear what you think about this whole breaking up with this guy because he wasn't tall enough, which I think was just a stupid excuse, or her wanting to basically live in her 20s, whatever that means. I'd like to hear about that. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.